What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex. In this video, I want to talk about Alan Wake 2 and just how good it looks. I'm not going to go too in-depth with any theories or speculation. We will get there. As October gets closer, I'm going to try to put some stuff together, but we actually got a lot of info for the game in this past week, right? Gamescom was huge. We got 14 minutes of gameplay, and, well, that's a little stretching it because a lot of it was the live-action kind of cutscene there, so it wasn't fully 14 minutes of going around doing everything, but the game looks ridiculously good. And I've been saying for a long time, this is my most anticipated game in the fall, going into the fall. I can't wait for Starfield. I can't wait for Spider-Man. I can't wait for Like a Dragon, The Man Who Erased His Name. Like, there's a lot of games I will drop my life, basically, to play them. Alan Wake has always been above all of them, and I believe Alan Wake 2 can be Game of the Year. I've said that since the beginning of the year. I think it's always stood a chance. And as we get closer, the physical thing, and I've made videos defending people that hate the idea of the game or whatever because of the physical thing. That is a huge deal. I'm not a fan of it. I think it's going to be a very bad thing for gaming going forward. But really, outside of the game not releasing physically, which is a huge deal, the game is looking and shaping up about as good as we can hope. Visually, the game looks like one of the better looking games that we've seen from gaming, just kind of period. I think the live action stuff, which obviously they've talked about quite a bit and going to be a pretty fair amount of the stuff on Alan's side, right? Not necessarily Saga's side, but more Alan's side. I've never been a huge fan. I actually have never played Quantum Break, and I am going to do it at some point in my life. Control obviously had a little bit as well, but this game, I think so far, I'm actually in love with. I like the idea of the actor for Alan Wake and, keeping him for as many years as they actually have, right? I think it's going to work. The complexity and I guess the depth of the story, I am going to replay Alan Wake. I'm going to have to kind of look at the wiki again. I've been doing that, like looking up Thomas Zane again, looking up Mr. Scratch. Obviously, Mr. Scratch was teased in this last week, so he's going to play a really big part of it. So I'm trying to read like the wiki pages of it just to try to like remember certain things and like what's really going on here, because I also never fully beat Control. I played about half of it, so that's probably going to come back to bite me considering they're in the same universe. But I need to catch up. I need to play Alan Wake one more time. I've played it a few times already, but I am so ready for this game. I don't know if I'm ready for like the complexity of the story, but I'm going to be paying attention, and that's kind of the thing to me that stands out. The gameplay looks pretty good. Obviously, the gameplay and the movement of the first game, people probably overall hate. Like, I don't think it was received all that well. I don't really think it should have been received all that well because it wasn't that good. But the writing, the acting, the depth, again, of what was going on there, the idea of books, right? Chapters, everything's a chapter, and just the story itself was so good. And that's always been Alan Wake's strength. And Control is better in the control department, like actually playing the game. So I don't really worry about actually playing as Alan or playing as Saga. I think it'll be fine. The biggest thing I'm looking forward to is let's continue to expand the story. I'm going to really be paying attention. I'm probably going to be paying attention to the story of Alan Wake 2 more than most of the other games' stories this entire year. Maybe, Spider-Man I'll be paying attention, Starfield from time to time, right? But Alan Wake probably takes the whole thing because you have to kind of be there for Alan Wake, right? Otherwise, you're going to be completely lost. But yeah, just some of the stuff we've seen over this past week, whether it be the visual kind of fidelity or the live action parts of it, it looks awesome. It looks deep. It makes me want to re-experience kind of the lore of that universe. The gameplay does look good when we've seen it. The Easter eggs that they've talked about and you can just see in the gameplay of The Dark Place, the game looks so good. So I continue to like to double down, on my prediction that this is a Game of the Year contender. I think it has been since it's been announced. I really do believe that. But I've been just so excited for it this entire year. Going into the year, I had said that number one, it's one of my more anticipated games of the entire year. And number two, I think it's a Game of the Year contender. And I think people are I still believe this. And that's why I made the video a few weeks ago about the sales. I still believe, even though the game continues to look better and they're showing it more, I just really don't know how this game is going to do. Obviously, they delayed themselves to get away from Spider-Man, and I also believe like Super Mario, but it's still in such a busy time. It is coming out 4 days now before Halloween, so it's going to have that horror thing behind it. but it is so niche or so deep, again, with the lore and the storytelling. And Alan Wake has never, I mean, I've said it before, like, they've never really sold well. They just haven't. The remaster didn't. The original game didn't. So I really hope that this game does well, not just critically. Like, I don't really care, if it gets 9s or 9.5. I don't care if it wins anybody's game of the year. I could care less about that stuff. I just hope that the game does well enough to, make their money back or make the money, and to guarantee, look, you don't make 2 games without making a third. I mean, sometimes you go bankrupt. Sometimes maybe it's a natural end, but I find that to be the rare case, right? I think when you make a second game in a franchise, you then obviously plan on doing a third. I will not wait 13 more years for Alan Wake 3. I hope I would wait like 5 or 6 max, and I hope that's what happens. So we'll talk more about that, I'm sure, as the game gets closer and when the game comes out. But just want to throw this video together that I have seen the stuff over the last week. I am blown away by it, and I think this game is going to be a Game of the Year contender, just like I've been saying for the longest time now. Let me know what you think in the comments. Make sure, as always, you're subscribed, bell icon turned on, and I hope to see you all on the next one.